Hello, little storytellers, and welcome back to Fairy Tale Fables. In our last adventure, Snow White said a tearful goodbye to her 7 dear friends in the forest. With a heart full of hope, she journeyed to the Grand Palace, ready to begin her new life as a princess. But the path to royalty is never quite as simple as it seems. Let's see what happens next. A magnificent golden carriage rolled through the castle gates, with crowds of cheering citizens lining the streets. Trumpets blared a royal welcome, and colourful flower petals rained down from the windows above. The carriage door opened, and Snow White stepped out. She looked a bit nervous in her beautiful gown, but a warm, genuine smile lit up her face as she waved to the welcoming people. This was her new home, a world away from the cosy cottage in the woods. She took a deep breath, ready for whatever lay ahead. Inside the grand hall, the king and queen embraced her with open arms. "Welcome home, my child," the king said, his voice full of warmth. The queen smiled, her eyes twinkling with kindness. They introduced Snow White to the royal court, the wise old advisor with a long, white beard, the cheerful maids who would help her dress, and the brave knights who guarded the palace. But as Snow White curtsied politely, she didn't notice a court lady watching from a shadowy corner, her eyes filled with envy. The palace was beautiful, a dazzling maze of marble and gold, but it was so very different from the quiet, peaceful forest she had come to love. Becoming a princess wasn't just about wearing a crown. There were lessons every day. A stern but fair dance master taught her how to walk gracefully, her steps light as a feather. She learned to curtsy deeply before nobles and how to address them with just the right words. Her days were filled with new duties. She spent hours in the royal library, practicing her handwriting on long scrolls of parchment, and sat beside the king to listen as his subjects shared their troubles, learning what it meant to rule with a fair hand. But her favorite place was the kitchen. She loved the smell of baking bread and would often sneak in to taste the delicious pastries and even lend the chefs a hand, her laughter echoing of the copper pots. Snow White's heart was always with the people. One sunny afternoon, she took a basket of warm, freshly baked bread to the village just outside the castle walls. She knelt down and gave a loaf to each of the hungry children, their eyes widening with surprise and gratitude. The villagers bowed their heads, touched by her simple act of kindness. She wasn't just a princess in a castle. She was their princess, and her goodness made everyone love her even more. She proved that true royalty comes from a caring heart, not just a royal title. One evening, as Snow White prepared for bed, she found something unusual on her pillow. It was a necklace strung with feathers that seemed to glow with a faint, otherworldly light. As she touched it, shadows in the corners of her room flickered and danced, as if a whisper of the evil queen's dark magic still lingered in the castle. The strange event didn't go unnoticed. Soon, whispers echoed through the palace halls. Some of the servants and nobles, already wary of the girl from the woods, began to look at her with suspicion. "Dark magic follows her," they'd murmur, their fearful glances making Snow White's heart feel heavy. The whispers grew louder, fueled by the jealous court lady who secretly spread rumors about Snow White and the strange feather necklace. During a grand royal dinner, the tension was thick. As the king raised his goblet for a toast, the necklace around the lady's neck began to glow intensely. The lights in the great hall flickered, and a cold wind swept through the room, making the guests gasp in panic. A fearful silence fell over the hall as all eyes turned to Snow White. The king's warm expression turned to one of deep concern. He looked at Snow White, waiting for an explanation she didn't have. In the face of fear and accusation, Snow White remained calm. She remembered the lessons of the forest. Kindness, not fear, is the greatest strength. Instead of pointing fingers, she walked directly to the trembling court lady, who was clutching the now flickering necklace. The lady expected anger, a royal punishment. But Snow White simply looked at her with understanding. "I forgive you," she said softly, her voice clear and steady. The court lady looked up, her eyes wide with disbelief and shame, as Snow White gently took the enchanted object from her hands. Seeing Snow White's incredible act of grace, the queen smiled with pride. "You have shown true courage and compassion," she declared, her voice ringing through the silent hall. "You truly have a queen's heart." The glowing feather necklace was taken and locked away in a deep royal shrine, where its dark magic could do no more harm. With the truth revealed and forgiveness granted, the fear in the palace melted away. Music and laughter filled the halls once more as the court celebrated the princess who had triumphed with kindness. That night, Snow White stood on her balcony, looking up at the peaceful, star-filled sky. She had learned a valuable lesson. A true princess is not known by her crown or her castle, but by the kindness she shows to others, even those who wish her ill. For it is love and forgiveness, not power, that truly rule a kingdom. Thank you for joining our story today. What adventure do you think awaits Snow White next? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe to Fairy Tale Fables for more magical stories. We'll see you in the next chapter. Bye for now.